So it's a beautiful sunny day and I thought I'd give you guys a tour of all my frangipanis. So let's start back probably about 10 years ago when I was just a teenager and I really was getting into tropical gardening and all sorts of plants, and I started to really like growing frangipanis. And it all started with, you know, just the simple plain white and yellow flower frangipanis, and I started propagating those. I started getting some seeds and growing those too, and then I moved on to growing some pink ones and red, and yeah, it kind of expanded from there. My uncles really kindly gave me some little babies that they grew from seed. They gave me some seeds, and yeah, so now I've got quite a few frangipanis around. So some typical ones, quite a few from seed, which are really pretty. And if you know anything about growing frangipanis from seed, they are generally not true to type. So they will be a whole new color and or smell or type of frangipani. So some flower well, some don't, some are pretty, some are not. But yeah, let's have a look around. So starting over here, this would have to be my favorite frangipani that was grown from seed. So it's a really nice pink flower with a deep kind of orange in the center. And I've always liked it because it flowers really well. And some of the seedlings, and I've got one in the back over there, I'm not sure if you can see it, it doesn't flower much. It grows really well, but it doesn't flower. Whereas this doesn't grow as fast, but it flowers more. And there's an abundance of flowers, but also it smells, and I know you can't smell through the camera, but it smells like peaches. Like the smell is just so delicious and so pretty. So the other thing about growing frangipanis from seed is that they actually take about 3 years of flowering to find their true color. So when this started, this wasn't as intensely that hot pink color. And you can see too, as the flowers sit in the sun, they often do start to bleach out and they become less vibrant in their colors. So the new flowers from here are very bright and hot pink, whereas when they're in the sun, they start to go a bit more paler, but they're still very pretty and smell amazing. Now, this frangipani here behind me is a more typical pink frangipani that you can just buy at the shops. So again, smells amazing, the flowers are still beautiful, but they are not as deeply pink as that previous frangipani I grew from seed. Now, this is quite hidden by this plant in front, but this also flowers a lot and branches are less leggy. They flower a lot, so the branches are shorter and it's kind of bushier. But this is, I would say, about 5 years old now, and it has grown out really nicely. It's not super tall, but it's just grown out. I find it really interesting because if you look at this frangipani, it is definitely much bushier and wider, but that is actually older than if we spin over here to this frangipani. This one, it's a bit hard to see in the shade here, but it is about 3 times the height of this other frangipani, and this grows a lot every year. I find it just seems to go crazy. It still flowers a fair bit, but it's much leggier than the other frangipani. So now let's move on to some of the red frangipani. So each of the frangipanis on the side of this bridge here are that gorgeous deep red. There are lots of inflows or inflorescence on here which are going to flower soon, but unfortunately I don't actually have really many flowers, except maybe this little one, that are actually flowering. Yeah, there are a lot of buds on this tree, but not many flowers. But again, very, very pretty, that gorgeous, really dark red color. And the smell again is that, I know some of these they call them Shiraz because they almost smell like a red wine, but they're very cool, and you can see on the leaves they have that really nice dark red outline on the outer sides of the leaves. Now moving on again, I have many of these, but these are just the traditional white and yellow frangipanis that we all love and we see everywhere around Sydney. This one here is very tall. I got this here years ago when I first built this area back in, I believe it was 2016 or 2015, it's a while ago. This was quite a nice tree which we planted, and then unfortunately a gum tree fell on it and broke a lot of the branches, but it's still going strong. It's quite tall, has many beautiful flowers, and I also have another one over here on the other side of my fire pit. And these they smell beautiful. they look nice. They're the good old reliable variety of frangipanis. So moving on again, this is actually my first ever frangipani that I got and planted here in this garden area. And this basically was the beginning of my frangipani obsession when I was younger. So this has been cut and trimmed a few times, and as we can see, it's just one of those plain original pink and white flowers, which again smell amazing. But yeah, so from here and in this whole area is where I would have my, what I'd call my frangipani nursery. I'd have all my cuttings which I'd be growing, and I used to often go on, in Australia we have a website called Gumtree, and I'd either get for free or either get for free or buy frangipani cuttings from people that had cut their trees down, or even on the side of the road, like pick them up. But it's quite funny, I have different stories and memories from, you know, getting a lot of them when I was younger. But yeah, I still have a fair few here. I have some more behind the house. They're kind of a bit, you know, they're just been kind of left there. But I've planted a fair few around the property. And yeah, I think they're pretty, they smell nice. And they're fun to, you know, propagate. Thanks for watching this video of me taking around showing you my frangipanis. Yeah, I've got a lot here and a lot of different types and colours and all that, so yeah. Thanks, see you guys next time.